What is good with everybody, man? It has been a minute. Y'all have been missed. And man, I miss talking with y'all, man. I miss talking with y'all so much. And we are finna get back into this thing on a regular, consistent basis, I promise y'all. But without further ado, I really want to get into this. Man, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. We are finna be doing this on a regular, consistent basis, I promise y'all. But for today's episode, we are going to be talking about One Piece 1154. I think that was last week's episode. I did kind of go over a little bit of it on my stream last week, but I didn't really like the video. You couldn't really hear me too much. I ain't even gonna lie. Um, but so I wanted to go ahead and just kind of redo that for y'all, okay? But without further ado, let's get right into it, okay? Last week, man, we got a bomb dropped on us, man. A straight bomb. But if you a One Piece fan, if you out there, you listen to the conspiracy theories and stuff like that, man. We kind of already knew. We had already peaked game. But Rocks was proven to have been Blackbeard's father this entire time. And the crazy thing is that everybody, including myself, if they drop this color frame or whatever, then I'm gonna believe it too. But everybody is also believing that Buggy could also be that man Ross's kid too, because he has two-tone hair. And if you look at Buggy's eyes, his eyes and Rox's eyes look exactly the same. Exactly the same. So the crazy part that this man was probably the strongest pirate that was out there at the time. But he was probably the strongest person that was able to step the emu. And well, I'll kind of get into that in a second. But he was the strongest person at the time, and now he's got probably could possibly have two of the strongest kids out here in the verse going on right now, and we honestly don't really know what one of them really gonna do in the future of One Piece and the future sagas that's going on in One Piece. So seeing what he does is gonna be kind of interesting now, especially because we now kind of understand that he could possibly really be Zebek's son. I'm talking about Buggy, clearly. But honestly, I kind of want to get into my first topic, which, well, that was my first topic, but I want to get into like the real first topic. You know what I mean? And I want to kind of talk about, now we understand why Blackbeard is so strong. Now we understand why Blackbeard gets so much off screen on me because his father was most likely the strongest character in the One Piece verse outside of Emu at one point in time. And I guess I can kind of tie both of these two together. You know how big of a threat Rocks was, and how big, honestly and truly, of a threat Blackbeard will probably be later on in the show. And I mean, I'll talk about Rex after I talk about Blackbeard, but I mean Rocks. Sorry, Rex. But I definitely feel like when it comes down to Blackbeard, we got a glimpse of what his Conqueror's Haki looks like when he went against Law. But now that we understand that Zebek was the dude who went and killed an admiral, probably unscathed, because it didn't really look like he had like bruises or anything like that, slashes and stuff like that. Especially with this next chapter, if that was after he scrapped the admiral, he didn't really look like he had too many scrape scars or whatnot. So he really went in, scrapped a whole admiral, took him down, beat the brakes off of him, put BTA, and then dipped. So to think about that, you know what I mean? He went to Marie-Joie, because that was in Marie-Joie when he did that. Went to Marie-Joie, beat down one of basically the top people in the world, and then went to the top person and said, "Yeah, I'm coming for your spot." You got to be like that. You know what I mean? You got to be coming. You got to be coming like that. And that's that right there to me is so cool to honestly think about, that he even met Emu, knew who Emu was, and I again, a lot of this stuff we'll talk about in the next chapter, and I will be posting that probably either Saturday or Sunday, because I am posting this video today. Um, but the fact that he went, sat right next to Emu, I'm coming for your spot. He had to be like that. You know what I mean? And honestly, like I said, for like that's honestly how big of a threat that he was. That he probably had one of the biggest bounties starting off at probably out of all the pirates that in verse. To be honest, like to go in, take down an admiral, and dip out with nothing happening to you, he definitely had like a at least maybe 1 billion. I give him definitely 1 billion. Because if Roger and Whitebeard had the two biggest bounties in the verse period, that means Rocks never got to that point where he had the biggest bounty. So he probably still had one of the biggest bounty, or they hid it. They hid his actual bounty, which they definitely could have possibly did. That's always a theory that they definitely could have done. But let's get back to Blackbeard and how strong that he probably is going to be. Now that we understand why he gets, so much off screen on me and stuff like that. I definitely feel like Rocks had awakened his dark fruit at one point in time. And so I honestly want to see what that looks like. But I feel like, with another conspiracy theory that's going on, I definitely feel like Blackbeard has multiple personalities in his one body. So I definitely feel like that. I don't know his dark, but it's dark. I don't know the other way, no me, whatever. But I know his dark fruit most likely was awakened Rox's. Like he awakened his at that point in time. So I definitely feel like his will was passed on to Blackbeard when he got it as well. So I definitely feel like Rox is truly actually living within Blackbeard at this point in time. So he's kind of like telling Blackbeard what like how to like move and stuff like that. If that is true, Blackbeard is going to be probably the final boss instead of Emu, because I definitely feel like Rox is definitely gonna be like he's gonna be telling Blackbeard, even though I definitely feel like Luffy and Blackbeard are gonna scrap, and that's gonna be some. Let me bring that up at a later topic actually, but I definitely feel like him and Blackbeard are definitely having conversations about how to use the fruit, how to get stronger and stuff like that, how to move, and I definitely feel like he got his thinking process from his father as well, because his father wasn't just all brute strength. We learned that he was a tactician. Like he thought things out before he took action, and that's honestly and truly just an apple falling from the tree. To be honest, Blackbeard is just the same. Um, I hope that we are able to see probably Blackbeard with two awakened devil fruits before him and Luffy really get into their multiple fights, because I don't think that they're going to be just one fight, because I'm going into my third topic at this point, because there's no point in me not really talking about it at this point because I already brought it up. But just the future of One Piece and how it's going to look and how it's going to shape out, I definitely feel like him and Luffy are going to scrap at least three times. At least three times. Only because I feel like one of those times they're gonna have to work together to take down Emu, and then after that they're gonna have to fight again. So yes, we already got our one scrap and Impel down. Yes, we're gonna. I feel like we're gonna get another scrap before we then come together and fight Emu, because I definitely think that's what's gonna happen. And then I think they're gonna have their big shebang at the end, which, like I said, that's cool, man. And to think about Blackbeard having most likely three devil fruits at that point in time, and two of them most likely awoken by that time, that man is gonna be overpowered. But it's justifiable now. Back in the day, we used to be like, how is he so strong? Why is he so strong? Blah blah. But now you have to kind of like understand, like, he came from the strongest, most likely character in the verse. So he's going to be absolutely busted. Busted. And I mean, Oda didn't really want to tell us that, but now that we understand that, it makes sense. You know what I mean? I did want to kind of like talk about God Valley real quick before I do go. And honestly and truly, now we kind of understand why Roger and Garp had to take down Rocks, because if Rocks was stepping the Emu, that definitely means that Roger at that point in time probably was not on Rox's level, and Roger was probably trying to get to where Rox was at that point in time. And that's kind of cool to think about. The King of the Pirates had a like he had to work hard to get to where he was at, because again he had that dude in front of him. So it's really cool to kind of like bring the old into the new and kind of piece everything together, man. And I really just can't wait to see what ends up happening at the end of these arcs and these sagas and stuff like that. Make sure y'all like, follow, and subscribe, man. Leave a comment, man. I appreciate everything, and we back. I can't wait to drop some more content for you guys. Peace.